Yes, you do still have to pay taxes in Australia if you move abroad. Um, Obviously, it depends on your circumstances, but the types of taxes that you will need to pay will come down to your tax residency status on top of your own facts and circumstances. So, for example, if you're a taxpayer that remains an Australian tax resident, Australia taxes its residents on worldwide income. So you might be working abroad, but if you're a tax resident, you'll actually still pay tax in Australia on your worldwide income. Now, the Australian tax system then allows foreign income tax credits for taxes that you've paid in the other country to avoid double taxation. Australia is a country that has a wide range of double tax treaties. They're also there to avoid double taxation. Now, if you go abroad and you become an Australian tax non-resident, you still might have to pay Australian tax because you might have Australian sourced income. An easy example to give is that you might rent out your Australian main residence property when you go to work abroad. That means that you'll earn Australian sourced rent and you'll pay Australian tax on that Australian sourced rent. If you have interest that you earn on a bank account in an Australian bank account, or you derive dividends from Australian shares, you might also have to pay Australian non-resident withholding tax on interest and dividend income. Capital gains tax, that's interesting when you go abroad. Australia continues to apply capital gains tax on what we call taxable Australian property. So again, an easy example to give is you have an investment property, an Australian investment property, that will continue to be subject to Australian capital gains tax. If you happen to break Australian tax residency, then the Australian capital gains tax aspects of your circumstances become interesting because Australia has these rules where an individual can have some choice whether they choose to pay capital gains tax on a deemed basis on assets that we call non-taxable Australian property. So, for example, shares that they might hold on the Australian Stock Exchange. But the individual gets that choice. So capital gains tax is a pretty good tax planning point for people who look to work abroad and may or may not break Australian tax residency status.